Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Exponential Potential. And this month has been all around your authentic self, being bold, being you. And excuse me, a little bit croaky. And we have a fabulous guest on today. I'm so excited that she could join us. And we are talking about embracing your wild self, and it's a lovely link into February because we're going to be talking about relationships and love, and I can't wait to dive in. Welcome, Savannah.
Thank you so much for having me, Jen.
Yeah, I've been really excited about this episode because you bring something really quite exceptionally wild, and we'll get into it. I don't want to give too much away. We'll get into it in the episode, but I just want to introduce Savannah. She's just incredible in terms of what she does, um, and I think you're going to really enjoy listening to Savannah, and not just listening, but I recommend that you sort of get yourself in a space where you've got some quiet, some peace and quiet around you, so you can not just hear what Savannah's saying, but feel or be open to receiving her energy, because it is just absolutely gorgeous. So Savannah Joy is the founder of Embrace Your Wild, a voice medicine channel, somatic healing practitioner, portrait photographer, speaker, plant medicine guide, and retreat facilitator. She empowers feminine leaders to release patterns of overdoing, chronic stress, and anxiety by softening into their hearts, trusting their inner wisdom, and reclaiming deep self-compassion, blending ancient shamanic practices and sound healing with modern neuroscience and other somatic healing modalities. Her unique approach to transformation utilizes immersive ceremony and retreat experiences that support visionary women in radically shifting their relationships with their bodies, their worthiness, and leading their lives from their innate feminine essence. So that's why I'm so excited. She's just going to bring so much to this.
Thank you. I'm so excited for this conversation.
I want to start off as well by asking, well, first of all, I'm really interested in how you started on your journey. So if that's okay, if we could start there, that would be fantastic. How did you become this incredible energy healing being, let's say?
Yeah, I would say about 5 years ago, I started the process of waking up, and becoming more conscious of how my childhood wounds and my unmet needs were really running the show in my 10-year marriage and my corporate career. And I actually attended a retreat, and it just blasted me wide open. Like the facilitators on the retreat were coaches, and they were such a safe and loving space, that I had this wake up aha moment that was like, I feel more seen and loved and supported by these basically strangers than I do in my own marriage by my husband. And it was this moment of just like, there's something wrong, like this isn't how it should be. And um, a month later, I asked for a divorce, and I was living in Hawaii at the time, and I was really living this picture perfect life from the outside. I was married to a handsome pilot. I was living in Hawaii. I had a really great high paying corporate sales job. Like, everyone looked at me and thought I was living the dream, but I was miserable and unfulfilled and constantly crying on my way to work, drinking wine every night. Like, it was just this really, I was in survival mode, but I didn't even realize it. It was just very unconscious. And I think a lot of women experience this. It's like, I've done all the right things, but I don't feel the way I want to feel. And I started waking up and I started having these realizations of like, I know there's something more for me. I know that I have gifts, and I'm not fulfilling my potential right now in this corporate sales job that just pays the bills. And it really was this catalyst for me starting to step onto my path in a really intentional way, and starting to ask those big questions of like, what is my purpose? Why am I really here? And I started asking these questions and opening up to the universe to receive the answers. And it was like these little, just like breadcrumb after breadcrumb started leading me down this path. And the first thing was I got certified as a coach through the Coactive Training Institute. And like, I started that training and I was just like, these are my people. Like, this is what I am supposed to be doing. This is how I've always related to people. I've always been the empowering friend that listens and champions my girlfriends and tells them they're beautiful and powerful and all the things. And then having these tools and frameworks, it was just like, oh my God, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mhm. Yes, as you're saying, I can really
Yeah.
relate to that. And I just want to go to the point of view, have looking from the outside point of view, people looking in, looking like you've got a perfect life. And I think it's important for people that are listening to this is to realize that you never know what's going on underneath. Somebody might look like they've got a perfect life, but you don't know that. And one of the things I think that we women especially is we compare ourselves, and a lot of the time we're comparing ourselves to something that's not real. And it's amazing, with retreats, the transformation that can happen in retreats when you're with the right people. And how fast, I mean, what amazes me is how quickly you came back and you're like, right, that's it. No, I'm leaving, and making those decisions to really open up your world.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wild.
Yes, that's really so powerful and profound, and must have been scary as well, though, Savannah. Was it scary?
There was definitely an element of it being scary because it was obviously this huge decision. It was this huge departure from, this track I'd been on and this vision I had for my life, like, I'm going to be married to this person forever and I'm going to, whatever. And then being like, oh my gosh, no, like, this isn't it. And I know in the deepest part of my soul and my core of my gut that there is something different for me that's calling me forth. And having the courage to listen to that is, it's the biggest bet I ever took on myself. And yes, it was scary, but it was the most rewarding and it was the perfect thing for me to do. Like, I'm so grateful for that version of me that had no idea what she was doing, but knew what she was doing. And that she took that bet on herself and she had the courage to make a change.
And I think when you have that calling inside you, you can't ignore it. You can sort of bury it for a while, but it will keep coming up, won't it? It will keep coming up in emotions and feelings and anxiety and overwhelm. And so it's important to listen to those little signs and things and those callings, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 So first of all, as well, I'd love to know what you mean by somatic healing and somatic modalities.
Yes. So I was first introduced to this way of processing emotions through my initial coach training that I went through. And from there, I then expanded my education and training to embodied coaching. And really, somatic healing it's one of the most powerful emotional healings or trauma healing modalities that I've experienced. And really what it is you go into the sensations of the emotions that are showing up in your current present moment. So we don't specifically go into the past trauma or the past event, for example, but it could be like, for example, um, I just got in a fight with my partner, and when conflict arises, I notice like my throat gets really tight, or I get this pit in my stomach, right? The sensations that we feel when we're activated. And so, if I was doing a session with you and you were bringing this to me, I would guide you into the sensations of, let's say, the throat, for example. So I would say, Jen, okay, I want you to just notice, what does that feel like in your throat? And you would tell me, like, it just feels really tight and constricted. I'm noticing, I'm starting to feel emotional, like tears are starting to come. Beautiful. And then we go deeper into that experience, that somatic, like soma means body. So going into the body sensations of the emotion, and it is the most beautiful process, and it's different every time with every person. But as you bring more awareness and more attention to the sensations and the experience in the body will slowly unfold and give you layer by layer of what needs your attention, right? It'll bring up a memory, or it'll bring up an emotion, or it'll turn into like a visual, like, oh, now that I'm being with it, it feels like a hard black ball in my throat. Okay, cool. And we go into that, and the body instructs us each layer of how to move that energy and how to heal and transmute that pattern that keeps showing up, right, when we're in conflict or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's the body is such a powerful, incredible guidance system for us, isn't it? And it has all the answers for us, but we do need an expert guide to help us through that gently and release those emotions, and, as you say, heal. Yeah, it sounds like such a beautiful experience.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Such,
thank you.
it's beautiful to witness.
Thank you for sharing that. So, embracing your wild self. What does that mean? What do you mean when you say embrace your wild self?
Yeah, so Embrace Your Wild is the name of my company, right? And after I went through this experience of I had this download to create this company, and the programs that I run, Embrace Your Wild, because it really, for me, was this. It's two main components that was really coming up for me, and I wanted to help empower other women through this process. But it's radical self-acceptance and radical ownership. And it's this process of accepting and reclaiming all of the parts of you that have been judged or shamed or suppressed over your life. And as you accept and reclaim all the parts of you, you create this safety, this internal safety, to start truly expressing your whole self.
I love that, in terms of, because we do carry a lot of shame as women. That's the word that really stuck out for me, shame. And allowing yourself to have that self-acceptance and have compassion for yourself. And that's just the safe environment that you create within yourself just feels so yummy and delicious. And I can feel that in my stomach, it's okay for me to express this. It's okay for me to say that. It's okay for me to want what I want and go for my dreams and desires. So you sort of tune in your clients into that safe space. Yeah.
It really is it. Yeah, and I want to say too is, I think a lot of times people hear Embrace Your Wild and they think about like wild woman, like, totally unhinged, or like cave woman. And sure, absolutely, that is a part of us. That is a part of our feminine nature. but when I say wild self, I see it as being the truest version of you before you were
Mm-hmm.
conditioned to be something else, right? Your wild self can be powerful and fierce, but it's also soft and grounded and intuitive and so much more.
Yeah, 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 I totally understand that. And I think it's more than giving yourself permission, isn't it, to be who you are and not to be
Yeah,
fearful of it. And
that's right.
there's so much this that's just such a freeing, it just feels so free when you can be yourself in all of our glory.
It is. It is
Yeah,
the most freedom that we can experience. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what advice would you give to feminine leaders that are excelling in their careers but feel unfulfilled in their relationships or their romantic life?
Yeah, something that I've noticed so much, I mean, starting with myself, but other powerful leaders that I've worked with, other clients, is that you have these women that are high achievers and they're super smart and they're driven and they're action takers and they make stuff happen, right? And that's why they're so successful in their careers. And but then in their relationships, their personal romantic lives, either they can't find a suitable mate, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they can't find someone that they feel matches them or you know meets them, or they're in longer term relationships and they just feel really frustrated, they feel unfulfilled, because they are bringing that masculine energy that helps them excel at, or helps them excel at work, and they bring that into their homes, into their personal romantic lives, and because that's what they've learned is valuable, right? That's what they've
Mm-hmm.
learned is the way to operate, and that's how they get things done. But then they get super frustrated because they end up doing everything at home and leading and taking care of everyone. They end up overgiving and overdoing and abandoning their own needs. And really, I see it as this combination of people pleasing and this need for control.
Mm-hmm.
And when a woman is in her overly masculine energy, especially in a relationship, and it doesn't have to be with a man, right? This can be in a a lesbian or queer relationship too. There's usually a more feminine and a more masculine energy person. um, but when there's this lack of polarity and the more feminine energy person is not able to surrender and release control, it leads to burnout because they're not honoring their natural dominant energy.
Yeah, and you see that a lot, don't you? When somebody they want help, they're like, nobody ever does anything around here. I'm the one to always do it. And that's because um, they either anyone that tries to help gets it wrong,
Yep.
is not up to their standards,
Yep.
and it's that control of if I want to get it done, I got to do it. If I want it done properly, I need to do it myself. And
Yes.
it's a hard thing to do, isn't it, for women that are very in control of their lives. It's very hard for them to let go of some of that control and kind of come at it from, well, does it really matter? And what's more important, my well-being or having this spotless or whatever it might be, or doing things my way, or I want to
Mm.
organize the holidays because that's what I do. And if you did it, I wouldn't, I can't trust you to do it, almost, isn't it? There's a big trust element involved in that.
Yes. Yes.
So how do we,
Yes. And
yeah.
this is the most fun place to.
Sorry, can you say that again? I'm not sure if we lost connection there. This is the most fun
No, go
place.
ahead.
No, you were saying this
It's the
is the
most
most.
fun place to. Yeah, it's the most fun place to work, with women, because it really has. There's so there's so many deeper layers under this need for control, and really what it comes down to is this need to feel safe. And it comes out in these kind of distorted ways of controlling everything or needing things. It's really like this energy of like, I need things to be this certain way so I feel a certain way inside. It's I need the external to be a certain way so that I can feel a certain way inside. And this is really where we get to start reclaiming our power, because we give away so much of our power and our emotional states to external circumstances or relationships or our jobs. And when we can start cultivating what we're needing on the inside, our external world will start to reflect it. But we think it's the opposite.
Yes, yeah. And our thoughts, our behaviors, well, our thoughts and our feelings, our emotions create our behaviors, don't they? Which then create that external world. And people sort of, they know, I think a lot of people know that happiness comes from within. I mean, that's not a secret, is it? That's quite widely known. And yet we don't take time to really understand what that means and how to do it. So how do we, when we feel stuck and we're in that pattern, that loop in our relationships, how can we shift and move forward?
So I feel like when we're feeling stuck in these patterns or these loops, the first thing is awareness, right? It's bringing awareness to what is this repeating pattern? Where do I feel stuck? What is that bringing up in me, right? Awareness is always the first step. But I also love to bring with that awareness is that we are always choosing the relationships, the jobs, the circumstances that are mirrors for us, to look at the places in us that are still needing love and attention and healing, right? Like if you're frustrated that your partner's not giving you enough time or energy or presence, right? And you're feeling like almost needy or you're feeling unmet, but you start projecting that frustration onto your partner and you start judging them, right? You're still in this place of giving your power away and not taking full responsibility for your part of the equation, right? Your part of the stuckness or this repeating pattern. And it really is like, it's a powerful mirror and it's an invitation to go within. Like, what is this need that is unmet?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And if you want to have somebody that's more affectionate or more open with their feelings and express their feelings, then you have to be that yourself, don't you? You have to come from that place of showing more affection and giving more love and expressing yourself, but expressing yourself in a compassionate, gentle way.
Right. It's coming from this place of wholeness. Like when you're able to really hold your own energy in your body and you're coming from a place, that place of wholeness and completeness, and you're not coming from a place of, I need you to give me something to feel whole. I need this attention. I need this validation, or I need whatever it is, right? That energy of seeking and reaching is, it's going to keep mirroring back that part of you, because it's an invitation for you to give that to yourself, right? To come from that place of wholeness and groundedness.
Yeah, and a lot of that's tied up with self-worth, isn't it? That wholeness is when we truly have self-love. And also I would, the big part of that is, so to get into that, I would imagine you do a fair amount of shadow work with your clients. So yes, can you sort of dive into that a bit and how that plays into this process of evolving?
Yes. Shadow work is a huge piece of what I do with my clients, because it truly is, I think it's something like 90 or 95% of what we do, is led by our subconscious mind, right? below what we're conscious of. And our shadows are all in the subconscious. And if you haven't read this book, Existential Kink is like the Bible of shadow work for me. Like, I absolutely love this book. Is so powerful, and it has guided exercises. So if you're new to shadow work, I definitely recommend this book. But really, the concept of this shadow work, when we start getting stuck in loops and patterns and we're feeling frustrated, like, oh, I keep choosing these same types of guys, or you know, or I keep, yeah, or I whatever it is, right? Whatever the pattern is that's frustrating you, like, oh, I keep doing this thing, and the conscious mind says, I hate this, I don't like this, right? But the subconscious, there is a part of you that actually gets off on feeling those sensations or feeling that way, right? Like, I love talking about like procrastinating, or people that have wild fluctuations in their income, because there is a part of you that actually gets off on the intensity of waiting till the last minute, right? Or having to figure out how to get the money to come in, or, you know, whatever it is, or being in that relationship where you feel like shit about yourself. Like, there's actually a part of you that gets off on that, right? And at first our conscious mind wants to say, no, there's no part of me that likes it, but subconsciously there is. And so again, this brings in that radical self-acceptance and compassion, and beginning to acknowledge, okay, let's just pretend for a second that there's a part of me that likes getting in fights with my partner, right? Let's just play with it and see what happens. So this was me. I was actually in a very toxic relationship after my marriage. I was in this relationship for 2.5 years, and I've always been a conflict avoidant person. Like, it makes me so uncomfortable. And I like, this was just such a roller coaster relationship that I was in. And my conscious mind said, I hate fighting. This is the worst. Like, I hate it so much. I just want there to be peace. I just want it to be easy. But what I found once I did this shadow work was that there was actually a part of me, and I call her the Punisher, but she actually is like this dominatrix, like wild, like ruthless, relentless version of me. And she wants men to suffer. She wants men to feel stupid. She wants them to feel less than, like she is the superior woman, right? And once I was able to see this, I was able to see that there was a part of me that was so angry at all of the men that abused me, abandoned me, took advantage of me. And she was this fierce protector. And it came out in this very distorted, weird way of like getting in fights and like, you know, raging and screaming at my partner, and like becoming this version of me that I like didn't even know who she was. And once I was able to see her and look at her and acknowledge her for all of the ways that she was trying to protect me, I was able to then, when those conflict moments would start to come up, I could see like, oh, there she is. She's here. She wants to protect me, right? And I was able to make a choice. When we bring the subconscious into our conscious awareness, then we have the power to actually shift our behavior. And like, that is how we actually shift out of these repeating patterns.
Really powerful. And it is interesting because I was the same in terms of, you know, attracting all these douchebags and men that weren't available either emotionally or physically. And I'd be like, but why? I just want a man that's there and loves me and is just supports me and is reliable. And I did the same. I had to delve deep, and I'm like, and what came up for me is, oh, but that sounds boring.
Right.
But and when I realized that and I stopped behaving in that way, I met the most amazing, wonderful, perfect partner ever. You know, we've been together 7 years, and we wake up and we're both beaming at each other still.
That is so beautiful.
So yeah, it's getting in touch with that subconscious and really looking at it and going, actually, what's going on there? And yeah, it's awareness is huge. And again, having an expert like you, Savannah, to help women through that and help them understand it and shift it. And you're so right in terms of we always have a choice, but we don't always see it.
That's it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, that's amazing. Thank you. I understand, well, I know that you have an incredible retreat coming up in Hawaii. Could you tell the listeners all about that? Because it sounds phenomenal.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so excited. So it's February 27th to March 4th. So it's coming up very soon.
Mhm.
And it is totally geared towards feminine, powerful women that are wanting to soften into their feminine essence. And it's releasing control, it's facing your fears. All the work that I do is with the body, right? Lasting transformation is done in the body. We can only talk about our problems. Our talk therapy really only goes so far. True lasting transformation is in the body. So this is a very experiential retreat. And so we're doing shibari rope bondage, which is a Japanese art form. And so literally we have this master practitioner flying over from the Big Island. We're hosting this retreat on Oahu, and him and his partner are flying over, and each woman is going to have a session where they get tied up in these ropes, and like the rope tying is really beautiful, like the knots and the ties and the way it lays on your body, but will then suspend you in the air, and you'll negotiate with the practitioner of what your intention is for your session. But really it's this very transformational and very healing experience, where you get to fully release control in a safe environment. And so there's like just this experience of the retreat is going to be a game changer for so many women that struggle to release control. And they will get to truly feel in a bodily sense what it's like to actually surrender and be held. So just that is going to be super powerful. We're going to be snorkeling with sharks
Oh
without
wow.
cages.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
open water.
That's scary.
I know.
I watched Jaws when I was 7, so I've always had a fear of sharks. I'm sure many of us have.
Yep, many of us do.
Yeah.
So I did this 2 years ago on the North Shore of Oahu, with this amazing company. They're all about educating and empowering around sharks because they're very misunderstood beings.
Yeah.
And so they take you out, into the water, and the sharks are attracted to the engines. And so when the boat pulls up, the sharks come, and the operators get in the water first, and they like check it out and see what's going on, and then they invite you one by one just to come into the water, and you get to get in and be, look around and feel around. And this was very edgy for me. Like I used to be afraid of the water, just like getting in a lake was scary for me.
Yeah, me too.
So this was a huge stretch for me when I did it 2 years ago. But the combination of the education of what they teach you about the sharks and how to relate to the sharks so that you're safe.
Yeah.
And all of that, and then getting in the water and facing these fears, right? We have all these jaws, beliefs and energies around sharks. And so most people think this is a crazy thing to do. And so when you get in the water and you actually are swimming in the same water with sharks, whether like sometimes they're far away and beneath you, and then sometimes they do come a little bit closer. After that experience, you literally feel like when you change your belief of like, I would never do that, that's way too scary, that's crazy, and then you do it,
Mm-hmm.
the embodied confidence and the identity shift that you go through in a really short period of time is something that translates into every other area of your life. Like when you go home, it's this complete mind shift of like, I just did something that I never would have imagined myself possible or even wanting to do, and you did it, and it was exciting and it was cool, and you learned something, and you're like, if that's possible, anything is possible. And it truly blasts open everything
Mm-hmm.
in your life. um,
Yeah.
so I'm really excited about that. um, and then so I'm also a portrait photographer, and
Mm-hmm.
my one of the most powerful experiences I had was after I got divorced. I had gotten into this place where I didn't feel sexy, I didn't feel
Yeah.
desired, right? Like it had just been a long time of that not working out, right? Like sex and intimacy was just, it just had fallen off. And it really started affecting the way that I saw myself. And I was I was actually a wedding photographer for a long time. And I had this idea of like, I kind of want to like do this photo shoot with like lingerie and like a hotel room and like hire a photographer. I just had this whole idea, and I actually did it. And I had a friend of mine do photos for me. And it was like I took myself on this like really luxurious, amazing date for myself. And I when I saw the photos of myself in from that day, it completely changed the way that I saw and experienced myself. Like, um, I had never seen myself as sexy and powerful and beautiful the way that I did in those photos. And it was just like, it was just this moment where I was like, I have to do this for other women. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
have to take photos of other women like this. And so in Hawaii, we're actually going to be doing these photo shoots on the beach. And you can wear lingerie, you can wear a dress, like you don't have to, be naked or anything. Like, but we really, it's the difference of shifting from smile for the camera and pose and look sexy. Like that's not what we're doing. Like it's like, I want you to close your eyes, I want you to go inside, and I want you to move your body and feel your own sensuality, to feel your own beauty. We're gonna play in the water and play in the sand, and I'm really just capturing you. And it's really like seeing yourself for the first time.
Mm.
And so there's that. I'm going to be doing a sound healing ceremony as I usually do. Um, and then we're going to be doing some hiking. We have a live-in chef. It's a beautiful luxury Airbnb, but it truly is the combination of these experiences will shift the fabric of your being for the rest of your life. Like life will never be the same after you have these experiences. So I'm super, super excited.
Mm-hmm. I really feel that as well. I mean, it's so true. Transformation has to be physical. You have to feel it. You have to embody it for that lasting transformation. All of those activities, those experiences sounds just incredible. And I know that you've got a few spaces left. So if this resonates with anyone, I highly recommend you go and check out the link below, all about Savannah's Hawaiian expansion experience. And I believe, is there anything else that you wanted to share? I believe you've got a monthly membership as well.
I do, yeah. It's called the Creatrix Collective. So it's co-led by the members. So I co-facilitate because there's a bunch of other coaches, healers, leaders in the space. They're not all entrepreneurs. It's kind of a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is. It's an experiential 2 calls a month, low cost membership. It's $44 a month. But we have 30 women right now. But it's an experiential kind of like a mini retreat
Mm-hmm.
that we have, but it's all about expansion and sisterhood, right? Like as we're on this journey of reclaiming our power and stepping into our truth, we get to be surrounded by other women that are really vulnerable and honest about their path and their stories, and then bringing in their expertise, right? We have relationship coaches, we have financial coaches, somatic coaches, and we get to share our gifts and hold each other through this process. So it's a very collaborative and co-created space.
It sounds gorgeous. It really does. All of it, Savannah. I want to be in Hawaii.
Come!
I want to come.
We'd love to have you.
And there's one other thing I just want to touch on your gift, and it sounds another amazing gift, another amazing experience with Savannah. I highly recommend it. It is a gift. It's normally $33. Is that right? So it's a guided sound journey for ancestral healing all around abundance. And it's a voyage deep into the body. It's an hour guided sounded journeys to help you restore your capacity to receive abundance and prosperity. And who doesn't want some of that? That's an incredible gift. And I am definitely going to be tuning into that for an hour. That sounds quite magical.
Yes, please let me know how it goes.
I will. So thank you so much, Savannah. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
This is definitely one for your listeners to go back and listen again. I highly recommend you reaching out to check out Savannah, look at her website. You know, there's still a few places left on her retreat. So go ahead and check things out. So yes, and February is all about love. And this has been a beautiful lead into that. So again, thank you, Savannah, for joining us. And till next time, we'll see you again. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.